Take your seats. The program will begin shortly. As a courtesy to the presenters, please mute all mobile devices. Thank you.
Everyone, wow, we are a lot bigger than last year. We're co-inventing the future of communication, storytelling, really the next generation of how we come together. Thank you for coming and enjoy the show.
One of the most rewarding parts of working at Roblox is to have a devoted community of creators that are always pushing us to be better, to build the most amazing platform for you.
We're very excited, as the others mentioned, about what you guys can do with this in your experiences in a uniquely Roblox way that just, again, drives engagement and spending on the platform.
There are many more than 1,000 people in the world making a living on Roblox right now, which is exactly where we want to be.
We wouldn't be where we are today if it weren't for all of you. There's really no doubt in my mind that this world is ours for the making, and we're going to make something amazing together.
Please welcome Product Director Josh Annan.
Good morning. Welcome to day 2 of RDC. I'm guessing there's at least one person here that did not sleep and has powered through last night. Thank you for being here bright and early. I hear there's coffee outside. So my name's Josh Annan. I'm a product director for the Engine Group. When I first joined Roblox, I learned that we aim to build features that enable a team of 3 to build what it normally takes 30 to build. Now, I have to admit, I didn't quite believe this until last year. So last year, about this time, Netflix released Squid Games. And within what felt like hours, there were Squid Games experiences on Roblox. And they were good. And Netflix loved it. I was kind of amazed. So last year at RDC, I asked you, how did you do this? And again, I heard the same answer. Roblox really does make it just that easy. But we never stop pushing. We keep asking ourselves, what can we do to take everything that we've learned over the past 16 years and make sure that we build the future of social 3D and let you go further? Now, internally, we define a great engine as having 3 key traits. The first one is that it's fast and reliable. Second thing is let's make sure that we provide the capabilities that you need with predictable behavior and discoverable features. And the third thing is we want to make sure that simple things are easy and complex things are possible. Now, when we look at some of our projects, Materials is a great example of these principles. In terms of capabilities, we provide an upgraded built-in material library that looks great with our future lighting system. And we did it in a backwards compatible way so that your existing experiences don't change unless you want them to. But we also provide advanced capabilities. So we've made it easy to define your own custom materials when our materials aren't what you need. In terms of simplicity, we've also made sure that we have consistency between parts and terrain with how materials work, and we're set up to scale to more object types in the future. And like everything we do, materials automatically scale to work across every platform that we support with no effort on your part. Layered clothing is another great example of these principles. I love the fact that we had to borrow ideas from rocket science to make it so that you can build clothing once, and we make it automatically adapt to the wide range of avatars that our users have. There's a new project we're working on internally that we call Digital Matter. Now, most of you are familiar with our building blocks, things like parts, mesh part, and terrain, etc. You probably also know that they're more inconsistent than they should be. For example, we let you access the voxels within terrain, but you can't access the vertices within meshes. And sometimes the behavior with our systems is not consistent. So meshes work differently with physics than parts do. Frankly, this makes it harder to build than we want it to be. So what we're doing internally is we're driving towards making it so that we have an elegant set of building blocks that's coherent, compatible, and consistent, and they can be combined in complex ways to produce some really cool outcomes. Now, today, this starts with things like fixing skin mesh physics and making it so that CSG operations work with meshes. I can't wait to tell you about, at future RDCs about what tomorrow holds. Now, we're doing a lot in all three of these areas, but today I really want to talk about performance and stability. Last year, we told you that speed is a feature. We've done a lot to make the engine faster and more reliable. In Dave's keynote, you heard about parallel luau and how much faster that can make a lot of your behavior. Something you didn't know is we've done other work, like raycast, are now 10x faster than they were a year ago. Really? No applause for that? Thank you. So, way to go, physics team. But we can do better. Come on, it's early, right? We need some energy. Let the coffee kick in. We are going to double down on building systems that just work. We want to make it so that every user, no matter what device and in what experience, always have an enjoyable and interactive experience. We want to make sure so that if you have a user that's on a low-end device and you build a first-person shooter, we make the engine automatically scale so that they have high frame rates. Or if that same user is in a virtual concert, we make different trade-offs to give them high fidelity because that matters more. Now, this sounds like science fiction, but it's not. We're doing work today to make this real. But we need your help. So I want to introduce Val to tell you more about this first step.
Hey everyone, my name is Val. Some of you may know me as Konovich. I've been at Roblox for a while. I've worked on physics, on networking, so I've touched different parts of the engine just throughout my time being here. So yeah, let's talk about performance, stability. So directors like Josh often come to engineers like me and say, hey, how do we do more but with less resources? Like, how do you get bigger games on smaller devices? And usually then engineers like me kind of like run away and find somewhere where his meeting invites can't really reach me and actually start solving the problem. And as we think about it, a really simple engineering principle comes out. Don't do the work that you don't have to. So when we think about it, what can reduce memory requirements of the games that your users play? What can improve join times significantly? And what can actually enable really massive experiences on really simple devices? The answer is a little obvious. It's streaming. And if you're holding in of a groan, let it out right now. We're aware of the reputation streaming has had. So when streaming was originally introduced, the vision was that you only load in the content that your players need to play the game. But when streaming was introduced, this is primarily what Roblox looked like. Some of you may recognize this as Crossroads. It's a pretty simple place, and Roblox used to be a lot simpler. Over the years, though, we've replaced the physics engine, we've redone a lot of our rendering technology, and we've introduced a whole slew of new features. And frankly, streaming hasn't really kept up. So over a year ago, we've had a paradigm shift, and we're treating streaming as a first-class engine subsystem. Streaming has been completely re-architected, and we're going to be supporting it long-term because we really believe that this is the way to get amazing experiences on Roblox everywhere. So what have we actually done recently about streaming? Well, we've been doing a lot of focus on performance. We want it to just work for all of your games. And at the same time, we want the scripting story for streaming to be much easier. On the performance front, we've rolled out opportunistic stream out. You could try this right now. In your streaming games, this by default stabilizes memory consumption, improves performance, and yeah, it's really easy to use. Just unloads things that your games don't need. We've also made sure that streaming doesn't break things apart that don't need to be broken apart. So cars should be streaming in and out together. Characters should be streaming in and out together. But something I'm really excited about that we still haven't really revealed is we know that we're not always going to be able to figure out what content makes sense and how to stream it. So we're actually introducing something called model streaming mode. And within this streaming mode, there's going to be two settings. There's going to be atomic and persistent. For anyone here has worked on a streaming game, you may be used to putting in like 10, 20 wait for childs when you're waiting for something to come in. With models atomicity, is what we're calling it, with the streaming mode atomic, you're going to be able to just wait for a single part of that model, and then you're going to be able to have everything there. This hugely simplifies the scripting story for streaming. Also, we're introducing persistent. Persistent does what it says. If you have something in your game that doesn't need to be streamed out ever, you can mark it as such. Maybe you have a lobby that you're constantly teleporting to and from. Makes sense. You don't want that to stream out. You always want it in there. And yeah, we're really excited for this. I want to apologize for the pixelated avatar behind me. This is what happens when they let engineers do the art for their presentations. But yeah, so what I just described, a lot of it is already out, but we're putting in the final polishes, and we're going to be releasing the model atomic and persistent by the beginning of 2023. We think that this addresses 90% of the feedback that we've heard from developers about what streaming does and what it can do better. But we're going to need your help with the last 10%. Long term, we really do believe that streaming is going to be a powerful feature for all developers. We really want it to become a default way to build new experiences. We will always be supporting non-streaming games. But we do think that this unlocks new capabilities that we really want everyone to check out. So after this, anytime during RDC, you know what I look like. If you have any questions, you want to talk to me, come find me. So zooming out a little bit, we really are focusing on making an amazing engine. Streaming is only a small part of it. And as Josh said, performance and stability are key. We really want it to do what you need it to do, and we really want the features to make those things happen really discoverable. We also want, as Josh said as well, simple things to be easy and complex things to be possible, which means more advanced features based on your feedback. But to accomplish these things, you really need your feedback, and we're working on this today. So we're always super impressed by the content you all build. Every year I find something that completely blows my mind, but I'm also pretty easy to impress. Give me something action-oriented, explosions and vehicles, I'm happy, good to go. But we can't wait to see what you build with the tools that we've introduced and we're working on. And on the topic of content, let me introduce Jad, who's going to talk about the Game Fund. Thank you.
So hi, I'm Jad. I lead the community expansion team at Roblox. We're focused on helping developers like you bring next generation experiences to the platform through the Roblox Game Fund. I'm happy to be joining the panel today with 3 of our Game Fund participants. They're going to share some insights into how they're currently building their experiences. And also, I'm going to give a quick update on Game Fund and share an early look at some of the games that are currently in development. So with that, let's bring our panelists to the stage. First, we have Clarence Maximilian. Clarence started on Roblox in 2013. He's been part of the Accelerator program. He's the creative director and founder of Maximilian Studios, and his team's working on a new FPS game for Roblox called Frontlines. Next, we've got Chris Haga from Ludi Games. Ever since Chris was a kid, all he wanted to do was make games. He's all grown up now, founder of an indie studio, living proof that dreams do come true. He spent 8 years working on Diablo 3, 4 years working on League of Legends. He was a lead artist at Blizzard, worked also at Activision or Riot Games, and yeah, he's working on a new game with his indie studio based out of Dallas, Texas, called Ruin. And last but not least, we've got Brand Inman. Brand Brand was in a punk rock band before he started a 20-year career in the gaming industry. He's worked for all the big companies, Rockstar, Sega, Konami, Sony, made some of my favorite games of all time. He's now the lead producer and designer for the Metaverse team, working on an asymmetrical multiplayer survival horror game that we'll be announcing and launching later this year. So yeah, welcome everybody to the stage. Before we jump in, I wanted to give a quick update on GameFund. So as many of you know, GameFund is a program that's really designed to help bring next generation experiences to the platform that leverage our latest tools and tech, which you heard Josh and Val talk about earlier. So we're looking for new, high-quality experiences that are visually stunning, that have ambitious visual designs, innovative gameplay, and experiences that are unlike anything else on the platform. So what I'm happy to share is, as many of you saw in Manuel's talk yesterday, we've increased the total amount in the fund up to $35 million US. Funding starts at $500,000 per project, and we'll be reviewing and greenlighting the next batch of games in the coming weeks here after RDC. So at the end of the talk, I'll have a QR code to an application form where you can apply. We'll also be at the DevRel booth from 11 to 2 p.m. if you're interested and you want to stop by and talk about your project or just say hello. So with that, I'd also like to show a quick look at a few of the games that are currently in development. This is all alpha footage, and most of these games are going to be launching before the end of the year. So I hope you enjoy.
Like a renegade, started up excitement. Come on, let's get ready. You know how to get me. Play it loud, it's my song. I know it drives you crazy. Come on, let's run away.
So I hope you all enjoyed that early look. Again, we'll have much more to share in the coming weeks and months. There's more games that we're obviously not showing here that we will later in the year. And we're looking forward to seeing more applications and more innovative projects that we can hopefully greenlight and add to this group. So with that, let's dive into the questions. Clarence, I guess I'll start with you. Could you tell us a little bit about your experience on the Roblox platform and how that led you to your application to GameFund?
Yeah, sure. So, like a lot of you guys, I started with Roblox for over 14 years now. And I first heard of it through an ad actually with Builderman, holding up his hammer, trying to build a skyscraper from the ground up. And so, but what caught my attention was that it was telling 9-year-old me that I could do the same thing, I could create all these amazing things from the ground up and have as much fun doing it as if I was playing a video game. So, I was sold. I spent thousands of hours just, rigging things up, seeing it explode, driving cars off cliffs, or figuring out how to sink the Roblox Titanic. But, the funny thing is that in all this chaos and in breaking things and, and figuring out the different ways I could poke and mold the virtual world around me, I was essentially learning the fundamentals of video game development that led me into creating these edge-cutting experiences that got me into the accelerator and the GameFund programs. So, right now we're pretty much en route to not only age up the platform we grew up with, but to also help Roblox compete at the highest level against all the AAA studios out there. And it all started by just moving simple blocks in Studio.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, we'll have an open beta for Frontlines here, I think later in October. But you guys should check it out. It looks amazing, and we're excited to have that officially launch later this year. So Chris and Brand, you guys have a really strong track record of success, like shipping and developing games off-platform. Again, some of the biggest games of all time. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey coming to the Roblox platform from that background and I guess any advice you would have for new developers that are starting out?
Oh, advice. Well, I mean, first of all, I've worked on a lot of game engines across the industry, from Diablo 3 to like League of Legends and everything that was going on there, and a bunch of different R&D projects that never saw the light of day. And I got to say, Roblox game engine is absolutely my favorite game engine. You can immediately deploy a build to customers so fast and get an idea of whether or not you're actually building something people want. So I think that is a massive advantage for the Roblox engine itself, and you can do it with such a small team. So really, like, the advice, the only thing I've ever seen work is just time and iterations. And that's what Roblox Studio essentially allows you to do, is iterate extremely fast and deploy it to players. And that is like it's really actually stunning. I don't want to work on the other engines anymore. They have like super advanced features, but honestly, that stuff is a quagmire. Like, you can get stuck working on like vehicle combat for Wrath of the Lich King, for example. That took a team of like 30 engineers 6 months or something to do. And what value did it add? Whereas in Roblox, you could have that up and running in 2 or 3 weeks and deploy it, and then people watch them play with it. Is it working? Is it not? To determine whether or not you're going to continue to put resources into it. So.
Yeah, so fast iteration.
100%.
What about you, Brand?
Well, I've worked on some pretty big games, some small ones, some ones that never shipped. But the thing that's really different to me is that normally it takes so much effort and so many people to even make a game happen in the first place. You've got huge development teams, you got multi-studios, you got people in other parts of the world, you have your own marketing team, maybe your publisher has people they have to run through, approval processes, and that's just to get the game going, get a milestone going. You're not even getting anything in front of anybody at this point. The whole process of that just takes so long, and then the submission through the first-party platforms is just a long, arduous process. And for me, I've only been on the Roblox platform about 6 months, but within a week, I was able to personally prototype out a gray box level and push it and have anybody I wanted to play this game. And in my entire career, I've never had something work that fast and that fluidly where I could have somebody look at it online, playing something, and be able to iterate on it. A lot of the projects that I've worked on, just you would have to ask for a feature and wait for it to come in and things like that. And I can just look at all the upcoming Roblox roadmap features and just kind of think, oh yeah, we're going to use that, put it in the game, deploy it, have somebody checking it out right away. It's just incredible. I absolutely love the fast iteration cycle. If I was to give any advice, I guess my advice is maybe a little more specific about just find what makes your gameplay loop unique, focus on it, look at what your peer developers are doing, find out how to maybe capitalize on what makes your unique loop unique even beyond consoles and stuff, but to the Roblox platform, and then look to utilize all these features that are specific, server-side functionality to the Roblox platform, and just fully push that stuff. There's a lot of great stuff that I don't think everybody knows because they're just working on. There's a lot of really nice technical features that Roblox can do. So you can start with something small and unique, and the loop is great, and just expand on it and make it a really next-gen type of experience.
Awesome. So could you guys talk about a little bit about how the Game Fund allowed you to enhance the scope and vision of your project? And I guess, Chris, I'll start with you. You've started up this studio, Ludi Games, out of Dallas, Texas. You've been going for a while now. How's Game Fund allowed you to kind of take it to the next level?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the name of the game is iteration time. So for something like Diablo 3, I spent 8 years on that game. There's about 120 developers working on it, and you're constantly iterating on trying to build something that you think people are going to want. And so when you have the opportunity and are incredibly lucky enough to be able to partner with something like the Game Fund, you get the opportunity to iterate as much as possible to get a concept to work, right? So I mean, that's essentially what it is. Whereas if we weren't partnered with the Game Fund, we would have to be seeking other partnerships, shorter term things, not as experimental. Like, more time allows you to be more experimental, essentially, right? Because you can take bigger risks. That's really what it lets you do. And you can innovate a lot better. I mean, yeah.
So, Clarence, we're constantly trying to improve our features and tooling on Roblox, materials, avatars, layered clothing. kind of heard Josh talk about it earlier. Could you share some examples of how you've incorporated some of the new Roblox tech into Frontlines?
Yeah, sure. So, Frontlines uses pretty much all Roblox tech, all the cool stuff that the engineers have made, from like atmospheres to clouds to the new skin mesh system for our new realistic rigs. But, I think the one feature that would make or break the game is really Future is Bright. That transformed a game from this two-dimensional, flat-looking, like styled game into a multi-dimensional experience that pretty much looks like all the AAA games out there. And so, I would go as far to say it's like, without Future is Bright, there probably wouldn't be a Frontlines on Roblox.
Got it. What about you, Chris? Any examples for Project Ruin?
Yeah, I mean, the layered clothing tech is pretty awesome. Actually, pretty easy to do. We're also super looking forward to getting our hands on the facial animation stuff. So I think that's going to be a huge advantage. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and it's built to be fast to iterate on, and it's fun. Like, I don't know, being able to like put on layered clothing to all these different ridiculous like characters is
Like
hilarious
Fry
to
Guy?
me. Yeah, like Fry Guy, for example. He should definitely be wearing a jacket.
Oh, he should be.
You know what I'm
A
saying?
tuxedo
It's cold
jacket.
outside.
And Brandon, obviously I've seen your game. We're not showing it today, but it looks amazing. You talk a little bit about some of the new tech they're using there.
Yeah, I mean, all the features you listed out here are just incredible. For me personally, I'm an art snob, and we're really focusing in on what the materials provide us, as well as the surface appearance, PBR textures. We're creating a really atmospheric experience, and with lighting and that whole surface material and PBR texture layer, it's just some incredible stuff that I've seen on other games that I worked on the next-gen consoles. It's just really beautiful looking. There's a lot of other services that we're looking to integrate into the game. The layered clothing, which is amazing. I mean, you can go create anything that lets you identify as yourself across not just one game, but across the entire metaverse experience of the Roblox platform. So we're definitely looking to using that. The facial animation stuff, like there's a lot of really cool features upcoming, but yeah, my personal favorite is the material service. This is an amazing, amazing feature.
Yeah, and your game's looking amazing. I can't wait to share it with everyone soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
So,
soon.
yeah,
Yes,
looking forward to it. Could you guys talk a little bit about the approach to how you designed your game and how you incorporate user feedback and user behaviors into your design decisions?
I mean, sure, like user decision, user behavior stuff is really like, they call it the classic like Silicon Valley funnel analysis. But what you look at is players are coming into your experience, and when are they leaving the experience? What are the conditions under which they're leaving? Are they confused at one element of the game? And so, do they not understand like some aspect of it? What percentage of players ever click on the leaderboard feature, for example? These are the sorts of things that you can, getting that data is super valuable for your team, because more often than not when you deploy build to customers, it's not immediately a smash success, right? So you have to get together with your team, talk about what's working and what's not working, and create hypotheses for how to improve it moving forward, right? And one of the ways you can bolster an argument is by using that data to kind of look at, oh, well, if one person on the team is saying, well, players aren't coming back because the leaderboard feature is not robust enough, well, but if only 1% of players click on the leaderboard feature, is the problem the leaderboard feature, or is the problem that they can't find the leaderboard feature, or is the problem that they don't care about the leaderboard feature because the core game loop isn't good enough, right? So I hope that kind of maybe answered your question.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, Clarence, we're basically, you look at Frontlines, it looks amazing, it sounds amazing. What types of user behaviors or feedback did you use, like, to affect your design decisions?
Yeah, so, the thing about Frontlines is that it's almost like a personal project to me. Frontlines in itself is really a collection of things we liked from different sources of inspiration. So, the way we design our games is that we consumed a lot of art, we watched a lot of cinema, we played a bunch of video games, and, we take in all the things that we liked from them, we push away all the things we didn't like, and put it all together into a cohesive experience called Frontlines. So, you know, we might not be as data-driven or market-driven, but it's more so driven by like our personal desires out of what we want out of the game. So in terms of user feedback or player feedback, it's mostly just asking questions to the community to get like a different angle, just to make sure we're not tunnel visioned into like one way of doing things. Because like in the end, we're just trying to make a game that we're proud of. And you know, that's our main priority.
Very cool. Well, yeah, I've definitely enjoyed playing it so far. So the number of older users has been steadily increasing on Roblox, and our fastest growing demographic is actually 17 to 24. Would you guys talk about, do you design for a specific age group, or are there other like demographics that drive your creations?
You know, the one thing I remember as a kid in terms of like, whether or not it's like an older game or like a younger game, is that it wasn't really the fact that it was rated M or rated teen or any kind of ratings. It was the fact that I just couldn't afford $60 to buy the game. It would take me a whole year of like not eating and like saving up all the lunch money I had to just buy that one single game. So I think the special thing about Roblox is that all the games are like free, or you could make it free. And although Frontlines maybe cater towards like an older audience because it looks more realistic, it looks like a AAA game. I think it could be enjoyable to all ages just because of how fun it is and the fact that we're giving it out for free on all platforms.
All right, cool. What about you, Chris?
For sure. I mean, when I think about the creative field and targeting a certain demographic, those things don't gel easily. Like it's because as a creator, you're just trying to entertain people, but you absolutely have to think about who is the person that you're trying to entertain. And a great example of this actually is Pixar. So with the movie Monsters, Inc., for example, you have Mike and Sully, these like bright characters, they're ridiculous shapes. One guy's literally like an eyeball with legs, right? Well, he has a relationship with his boss. He has a relationship with Sully and the little girl. And there's layers of those Pixar films that are more advanced emotionally, right? More advanced in all kinds of ways in dialogue. So, but also, it's colorful and bright and quick and with lots of jump scares and laughs for little kids. So I think that the same thing is true for games. And when you break it down for games, typically the older audience is going to want something that's more sophisticated. And if you guys have played like Call of Duty Warzone and kind of compare that to, say, Counter-Strike, Call of Duty Warzone has super advanced movement mechanics. You jump out of a plane, there's a parachute, you can cut the parachute at any time, you can run and slide, you can hide, you can play in teams of 4, you can hunt for resources, you can do all kinds of things in that game. It's incredibly mechanically robust, and I think that is suited for sort of the older audience. Not saying that Counter-Strike isn't, for example, but I'm sure you can see like that direction, right? And ideally, the game that transcends all different age groups, I think, probably on Roblox, not having seen the data myself, is like Pet Simulator X, which is like one of my favorite games. Unfortunately, I've spent like, or maybe fortunately, I've spent like $100 on that game, maybe more. But don't tell me, my wife's not here, don't tell her I did that. She'd be so mad. But like, yeah, I mean, the game is colorful. It's relatively simple to play, but if you study that game closely, there's a tremendous amount of depth to, say, its meta systems. It's very complicated. There's all sorts of different layers of kind of reward schedules coming in at different times that you can get engaged with, even as I'm 41. You know what I mean? I play Pet Simulator X.
Yeah.
Not afraid to
cool.
admit it. Not afraid to admit it.
Not afraid either.
I like Fashion Famous.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So what about you, Brian?
Our game's featured is based on unannounced IP that's in the horror genre. And probably by design it's a little bit aged up, but the actual fan base of this IP can go pretty young. So we're not really focusing on a particular age demographic, even though I think the horror thing will lend itself to the older demographic. We're really just trying to create a game where anybody can drop in and play it. And you can be in and out of the game, where we have a pretty short game loop. So it's something just anybody should be able to get in there and play it, even including my grandmother. And there's meta layers to the game that you're more sophisticated, potentially older. Not that 10-year-old kids aren't sophisticated. I'm just saying there's some gamers who have experience, understand metagame loops, will probably get more out of the game. So I think every age group should be able to play. So probably the older group will get more out of it than younger, but I think that it should work for just about everybody.
Sure. So I guess to wrap up, maybe the last question, what do you guys think, looking forward 5 years, the future will hold for Roblox developers? Or what would you like to see?
I think probably an even brighter future than like the most successful people on YouTube. I think the biggest reference I could say is that, I hear that, Roblox is almost like the YouTube of gaming. But the thing about Roblox is that there's so much potential. You're not just making a video. You can make this whole immersive experience for like everyone to enjoy. So, I think the future holds really brightly. And I think, the developers out there are going to be way more successful than any other platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think 5 years from now, you're going to have machine learning assisted tooling to help you make games faster and more efficiently. I think that the kinds of things that you guys will be able to do for you developers in the audience is going to be stunning in 5 years. The tools that are in the pipeline, I don't know what Roblox is working on in any detail, but certainly the things that are out there in the regular world are absolutely ridiculous. And they're going to be 10x, 20x to your efficiency and to the speed at which you can deploy to great products that are sophisticated mechanically to customers. So it's going to be insane.
Yeah, for me, I think that all you guys as developers, you're going to grow and mature, and I think the platform with the millions and millions and millions and millions of users that are on it, you're going to be able to create these experiences that the next WoWs, the next Fortnites, and have just countless people available to play your game, and you're going to have that experience to generate and create that game at this point. And the tools that are going to be provided by Roblox and the engine support there, it's not just an engine, it's a platform with a lot of people and a lot of good tools coming in. And I mean, I can't even really see it, but I just can imagine what we're going to have in 5 years is going to be incredible, and I can't wait to be part of it, yeah.
Well, for the rest of the year, I can't wait for Frontlines. I can't wait for Ruin. I can't wait to be able to share the game that you're working on. You're going to launch pretty soon here. So yeah, thanks again, guys, for joining the panel. For all you in the audience, this is the QR code to the application form. Feel free to apply if you have a project that you think would be a good fit for Game Fund. We'll be reviewing those again in the coming weeks and greenlighting the next batch of applications, hopefully at some point in Q4. So that concludes our panel discussion. Hope you enjoyed it. We've received some amazing applications to date. Looking forward to seeing what's next. If you want to ask me any questions or anyone on my team, we've got Ed Duran, Duncan Campbell here in the audience. We will be at the DevRel booth from 11 to 2 p.m. It's been great meeting many of you over the past day or two. Look forward to meeting more of you at the booth. And yeah, thanks again for connecting at RDC. Thanks.
Thanks.
Please enjoy a 10-minute stretch break. Thank you.